I planted the seed last time.
Yeah, no, I remember. I was there.
Well, but sometimes you don't remember things.
Hey, easy. When it comes to the hotline here on Talkcast PDX with Leather Stores and Kurt Huffman, I remember just about 75% of the things.
You remember 50% of the things 100% of the time?
Is that 75?
No. I think it's still 50.
Oh, shit. Well, we went to your Loyal Legion, long-awaited Loyal Legion. I saw a very passive-aggressive headline on Facebook, and it said, after months of construction, Loyal Legion opens in Beaverton.
Yeah, it was a lot of construction.
Well, it's gorgeous. That building is, what do you call that? That stucco kind of
faux Spanish
style.
kind of. Yeah.
But it's great. It has a real gravity. It's very pretty and white. And then the interior is handsome and tile crazy, as we know you are. I mean, I don't know if all of our listeners understand that you personally are sponsored by Ann Sachs, but you really have a thing for tile. And I'll even say that the outside of your home is tile.
It is.
I mean.
Yeah. Well, I had a revelation when I went to Japan and realized that, up until like the 50s or 60s, tile was exclusively used on the exterior of buildings. It wasn't an interior finish. Anne was explaining this to me at some point. And I consider her to be the source of truth of all things tile, Anne Sachs. But yeah, I saw it on the outside, like even downtown Tokyo, right? It's kind of like it makes sense, right? It's like a glazed brick.
Right.
So super durable. And so, yeah, we got rather than doing like metal siding, we got tile, which is also like a 30-year siding.
And you're kind of allergic to paint. You just don't like, I don't think you like the commitment to painting something because you have to continue to do so.
Oh, especially in a restaurant, it just gets, it gets scuffed. Like in the very rare places that we have paint out where at Loyal, even this morning I'm looking at like nooks and crannies. Immediately.
Chipped open and yeah.
Yeah, so I'd much rather have solid wood because if it gets dinged, that's cool. It's just aging. Tile is almost impossible to do anything to. You can break it with a hammer.
Right.
But then we have backup tile. We just put it right back in.
Always backup tile. But when the Lloyd Center finally gets exploded with a bomb, which I'm imagining is going to happen soon, you will have to get rid of the city's biggest storage facility, won't you?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the city's biggest, but it's definitely one of the least expensive.
I wonder if the Memorial Coliseum is available for just chef's table overage.
Oh, man.
So I had a real kind of funny full circle meta moment last night when we ran into our high school classmate, Sarah Koski, who does a lot of graphic printing for all kinds of people, but a lot of chef's table projects. And she insisted on meeting my son, who was there eating. And he, as you know, is a behemoth. And she remarked on that. And then, of course, had to tell Rye about how her freshman year yearbook, she couldn't take home to her parents because I had drawn penises on every page. Now, two things. I agree that I probably did that. But two, I'm sure that I didn't commit to every page. That would have been crazy.
Oh, man. You're really you're fighting the margins of this story. So, okay. I probably did draw penises, but every page.
Yeah, come on. So Rye liked that story, and essentially, I guess I was a couple years younger than he was now when she met him. So that was, and she gave him a little, almost like a cheek pinch kind of thing.
Aw.
Yeah, it was nice.
Was he intimidated?
He's kind of dopey, and he doesn't really have a lot of. He's like, oh, nice to meet you.
That's so mean.
Well, it's not mean. It's just how he is. He's just kind of shy. He's not like his sister, who is much more outgoing and enjoyed that. And I thought last night, for example, when Natalia asked you for a tour and you said, I think I'm actually going to just sit here and talk to Shar. I thought that was so cool. I love that you guys have unique friendship, and I like that she engages in that. I mean, Rye is the same way with you, certainly. But it was neat to see my kids kind of adulting on their own.
Oh, yeah. Well, Charlotte is who I call Chuck, is wonderful.
Yeah,
she's what a high achiever, and just a great kid. It's really fun to sit next to her and kind of listen to just her focus. And she has it 4 points still.
Yep.
She's in medical something or other, or health, or she's worried about one class that she may fail.
Sports medicine.
Sports medicine.
Yeah.
She won't. But she's worried that she won't get an A in it, which would ruin her perfect GPA.
Well, she's a baller.
And Sarah, by the way, I had to check real fast. It's Oregon Screen
Printing?
Printing, I think. Great.
Little shout out.
Yeah. Up on Hawthorne, right?
Broadway.
Broadway?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I'm such a doofus.
Oh, yeah. It is like 35th and Broadway.
Okay. Right. And they do a ton of merch for everybody. Mm-hmm. Really great. And when we used to play in a basketball tournament, she used to do four jerseys for us.
Now, can we just talk a little bit? And I know this is a ridiculous tangent, but I loved it so much that I'd like to talk about it and tell this story.
Talk what? About what?
About our name, about our team name.
Wow, okay.
Do you remember it?
Of course.
What was the first iteration?
Oh, man. Well, it was, gosh darn it. I know the background story to it, which I'm a little bit hesitant to talk about.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Chaos ensued. Presumes.
Chaos presumed.
Yeah. Chaos presumed.
Yes.
And that is a wonderful, it was
a malaprop, we'll say.
Yeah.
We'll say. Because
it was taken off of it was one of those things, and I think a lot of people share this where you'll have Facebook friends or barely Facebook friends, but you'll see their posts and you'll kind of think that they're so hilarious. I have a friend from business school who posts the most amazing. So he's like an executive in Korea, mm-hmm. and so all of his stuff is in Korean. So I always hit the translate feature, but he has to have like a photographer come to his house to take the pictures because they are unbelievable. Like everything is so perfect, and the dogs are like at rigid attention. The house is unbelievable, and so I'm always taking screenshots of these just outrageous things, and then the Korean translations are so fantastic
because they're a little off. Probably.
Oh, it's just so kooky, and I'm always sending them to my buddies. But in any case, so I always love that kind of stuff, and because some people are totally vested in that, like social media, like super presence, and that's definitely his MO. But love that guy, Mickey Kim. He's a great guy.
And as a long setup, we're just going to quickly say that we have a mutual Facebook friend who post things that are unintentionally hilarious, and sometimes because
with some misspellings and misuse of words. And so our favorite was Chaos, talking about these things that were happened, and shit hit the fan.
Right.
And
of course, then because of shit hitting the fan,
you say normally chaos ensues.
You do. Chaos ensued.
But he misused the phrase and say chaos presumed.
Indeed.
And we loved that.
I mean, we
loved it so much we named our basketball team.
There we go. And there was
Chaos
a point
presumed.
to this story. I knew it. You just have to hold on, listener. We will get there. Chaos presumed was our first team. And of course it did. We were
terrible.
Yep. And then the next year, because we did it again, we were Chaos resumed. Clever.
Yeah.
And then
we did it again.
In the third year, running out of things that rhymed. But also still with a little bag of tricks, we came up with
Chaos Exhumed.
Exhumed.
And it was a picture of a skeleton arm coming out of a grave, like he was coming back.
And that was thanks to our friend Sarah Koski.
Yeah, she helped out.
What a nice little bow we just put on that
3-on-3 basketball tournament in Spokane, Washington. It's called Hoop Fest.
The Cane.
It's the largest basketball tournament in the world in terms of participants, I believe.
Is outdoor, maybe. There's some kind of distinction. In the
largest
same way
3-on-3, perhaps.
Lloyd Center was.
But there's over 200,000 people that come. We played in a 4-year age bracket, right? So very tiny age bracket.
Right.
And we are in one of many levels in that age
within that age bracket
because we're in the worst
right.
because our friend played high school basketball. Our two friends played high school basketball, nothing higher than JV, and we played no basketball.
Right. And so, it shows.
So our roles are adapted for that. And so we were placed in the lowest thing. Then they have, if you have somebody that's taller than 6'10",
right.
you're automatically put into something.
But remarkable that there was granularity within the age bracket.
So there's like 16 teams in our 5-year age bracket,
right.
and it's not like we're spring chickens. The last one was like 47 to 51.
Right.
And then there's 16 teams in the subcategory of being terrible.
Dizzying.
And so there's 200,000. So the town fills up. Every street everywhere is filled with basketball courts, and you're just basically playing 3-on-3.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
And it's like 105 degrees on blacktop, and yeah, those were really fun weekends.
And we would take the van, your big giant van, with a team of kids. So 1 year Rye and his 4 teammates rode in the back of the van and stunk. And the second year, Charlotte and her 4 teammates smelled better.
Yeah.
Every year, it was great. It was fun. It was hot. It's where my mom is from, so she enjoyed that. At one time, I went and saw her house where she grew up when we were there. It had 1,000 window panes.
Huh.
Yeah.
Like tiny little panes,
Not
or just
tiny,
a lot of windows?
A lot of windows. But yeah, I mean, there would be like 9 in a window, but still.
Right.
Whew.
Let me tell you.
Talk about the ammonia.
We're getting a bid to replace the warehouse windows, and they have those old style windows. Those bad boys are expensive.
I'll bet.
And filled with lead and asbestos.
And what about being rated? Like, are they good for insulation?
No, of course not. No, they're just single pane. So
do you have to do that?
No, you don't have to. With new construction, you have to get up to energy code.
Right.
But when you have historical stuff, you don't. But when I got a bid to do it, the guy basically said, well, we're not going to replace each window. We're actually just going to come in and demo out all the window, so we don't have to mess with like any of the,
unusual shapes,
the radon and everything else. We're just going to basically get a huge saw, cut it all out, throw it in the dumpster, take it to whatever the contamination site is, and then put in a brand new window.
Right.
So basically just tear the whole thing down. I thought, well, this seems like a waste of materials. But then I looked at the cost difference, and it was only 3 times more.
Yeah.
To keep everything
well,
with the
sure.
metal frame.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
So there you go. Wow, we really big segue. So Oregon Screen
Printing, and then that leads me to a finally another sort of throwback segue.
Okay.
This last week was a scramble getting that Lloyd agent up and running, and
yes.
I understand you ran the construction, sort of the general contractor, and because of that, you assigned quite a few tasks to yourself. And so you were, hammering and painting and digging and planting and tiling and doing all this crap. And I went out last weekend and helped you, and I was struck by the monochromatic nature of your kind of construction outfit. It was all tan. So we got a picture of you holding...
wondering where you're going with
holding a drill, kind of hiding in construction.
Well, it turned out that the guy was wearing all tan top and all tan bottom.
Yes.
And I love the insulated pants you can buy at Costco.
Costco, we love you.
Oh, God.
32 degrees.
And
I think that's all I wear anymore.
But I had a tan top, tan bottom, and then when you got into the space, we had this floor covering that
Beater
was
board.
also tan, and then construction paper on top of the floor covering, which was also tan.
I mean, like I said, I felt like we were on Tatooine.
And you were wearing a tan hat.
I was wearing a tan hat. So I contributed to the ensemble, but then I posted about you doing a collab with a local sportswear legend, and some people got excited about that. I think our old friend Blake Neiman Davis was like, who's the sportswear legend? I mean, I wish. I thought that it was a great idea. But also our friend Lori Matthews saw it and said, looking good. The finger is getting better. I listened to your guys' show, so I thought it was really...
Lori Matthews listens to our show?
Yeah.
Oh.
Or at least one. She listened to an episode. But I thought for her to be able to hear that and then poke us through the Instagram was, again.
So you put that on Instagram?
You're such a dick.
Well, I don't
tagged
do that.
you and did all that stuff.
I haven't opened that app in like 2 weeks. I try to every now and then.
You should. You do those nifty posts with Cora. They're always in French to kind of keep up on your
like once
French.
every 4 months.
Right. And then, but you don't really, I mean, you kind of troll and we'll do a light lurk on Facebook, but yeah, you're not an active
What do you mean
socially.
a light lurk?
Well, just like we were talking about, how we look at people's posts and enjoy them.
Yeah.
Come on now.
That's lurking?
Well, I suppose if you're not commenting and if you're using someone else's posts for fodder and not including them, I would call that lurking.
Oh, okay. I do that it's rare.
Yeah.
But only when something's just so fabulous.
In any event, I was just trying to say that, and this is a theme that I like to bring up, I feel like certainly with COVID and with technology, we miss these opportunities for community and connection. And we're fortunate to have this platform to talk about nothing. But I loved that Lori was able to not only give a little zap on the thing, but say, oh, it looks like your finger's getting better. And so maybe you should look at that more frequently.
Well, how did she know I hurt my finger?
Because we talked about it on the show.
Oh, that's
And then
right.
she saw the picture.
Oh.
Were you listening? Kind of.
I think I fell asleep.
I have that kind of bass tone. I'm really settling into my job. I love being with our friend Rick, and I want to have him back because I'd like maybe now that he has me as an employee, he could probably really lay into me.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Remember when he was telling those stories about George Marone?
Yeah. And you kept interrupting. Now he would just be like, hey,
No.
Yeah, I'll talk when it's time for you to talk.
Mm-hmm. And I think, there was a point when I thought he was going to just dump a big pan of meatballs on my head. I don't know what stopped him. But actually, no, I love him coming in. I made staff meal yesterday, and it was a little bit different than I think they're accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
I made a big, beautiful roast pork, and I told our friend Barry, that Irish chef that I like
He's
very
wonderful.
much. I told him I was getting all Fergus Henderson.
Ooh.
And Fergus is that English organ lover.
Yeah.
So I did like a parsley and onion and fennel salad, and then some fried capers and scalloped potatoes.
Jeez Louise.
And that was a little bit more, I think, than
more
people.
Than they're used to.
Yeah, usually it's kind of like a Franz bread affair with like old chicken.
It's like leftover something.
But I tried to keep with the mies and not take a whole bunch of time doing it.
Huh.
And Rick was there, and he's like, "Oh, I can't stay," and he's like, "But I'll take one to go." So I set him up a little lunch thing, and it's nice.
That's fun.
Because again, I'm just so delighted at the opportunity to completely think differently about food.
Right.
That's what's so tickling about this, because you can certainly get into a kind of you want how many pounds of this, and you're like just sitting there and chopping up 150 pounds of pork shoulder,
right.
And you can sort of focus in on that and be like, oh Christ, what an awful task. But at the same time, you realize that all of these things at some point are going to be consumed as a meal. And,
right.
And it's very easy to kind of commodify the food and lose the food value.
Right.
So I think it's just been really, really fun to rejigger my brain. I mean, it's not about making a single plate. It's about ensuring that a batch of 1,000 falls within an acceptable range.
Right.
And that's just that's a whole different kind of math.
Yeah, and it's so what is certain is that when if you have a concept with a menu that you're trying to scale, it is impossible that it doesn't lose something as it grows.
Right.
Right. So the challenge with commissary kitchens, which is just where, so for instance, there's now 3 lardos and 4 grasses. And Rick is the partner on all of them. So he has a large commissary that makes the base ingredients for all of those. Because there's no sense in having guys chopping pork shoulder at the 3. There's no sense in having guys making a marinara sauce at 4 places. So you just bring it all into one super nice kitchen where you can have it all ready. And but the challenge, and I think this is a challenge that a lot of people aren't aware of, but is to keep that quality as high as you can for as long as you can. And I think places that do really well in maintaining that quality are really remarkable.
Right.
And it's not easy. I mean, it can't be as good because then you're making it somewhere and then transporting it. So you're making it, you're cooling it down, you're sending it. It's what you do most restaurants anyways. But, that challenge is a really interesting one.
Well, that is the notion. That is the French term of mise en place, like everything in its place. And the idea of cooking a meal from start to finish for 4 people in an afternoon is completely different than a restaurant meal where you must make concessions to time. And so things must be made in large batches and held at somewhere where you think it's acceptable.
Right.
Some chefs choose to blanch green vegetables and then warm them up. Some chefs choose to cook green vegetables right at the time, which the French call à la minute.
Right.
All of those things depend on the skill of the person executing them and the rate with which you need to move food.
Yep.
And so chefs need to make those decisions. Do you have super talented people who can do these things from the ground up, or do you need to enforce some guardrails so that your vision is maintained, perhaps at some sacrifice, but with the assurance of consistency?
Well, the number one thing that changes as you grow a concept is just the type of people that you can get to work there.
Right.
Because at the beginning, there's some excitement and interest, and so for instance, when Pok Pok opened, right?
People want to be next to that.
Everybody wanted to work there, and so maintaining this very high quality, especially as it grew, was not nearly as difficult as it was 7-8 years in, when suddenly it's not as special to work there. It's X years past, the Beard Award and this and that, and so it becomes a real challenge to get that talent. And then as you grow something, once you have 10, 15, 20 locations, then you're just faced with the reality of, okay, you're going into an area that you don't know very well, so recruiting talent is hard. So almost every concept that's gone out big, so let's say a place like Salt and Straw that has a very high commitment to quality, I think, they're making all of their product in one place to have a very high thing.
But see, that's the nature of that specific product. The fact that it's frozen is fantastic.
Fantastic, right. But then you think of a place like Chick-fil-A.
Right.
Also, it's like they make all of that stuff out, and by the time it gets on site, there's not that much talent required to produce precisely the same thing. But what that means is that it's just kind of, you end up with products that are kind of, brain dead.
Cookie cutter, yeah.
Right, that are scalable. And so, to scale something like a St. Jack, you're never going to have 50 St. Jacks.
Right.
I mean, you'd have to have, 50 super talented people. And it's just, you're not going to find those, and it's not very scalable.
Well, but you are, though. I mean, you're not going to find St. Jack's, but we did see, and I think this is less going to happen driven by personalities, but we did see, Jean-Georges opening 36 restaurants in 20 countries.
Right.
At a certain point, you can't leverage a brand like that far.
Yep.
Something like Chick-fil-A doesn't suffer the same kind of expectations.
No, because you can make it all centrally, but there are places at Chick-fil-A, I don't particularly like Chick-fil-A, but people that love it, love it. I like In-N-Out. I think it's remarkable.
A similar sort of fanatical.
Yeah. But they manage their supply chain. They make everything centrally. They send it out. The only thing they're doing on site really is fries and kind of unpacking tomatoes and lettuce and stuff. But everything else is just brought to them. But it's yeah.
Well, I think we could talk about 2 very specific kind of in that grouping, one success and one failure. I would say that the failure, in my opinion, was David Chang's fried chicken sandwich via Ghost Kitchen concept. I think people felt like that was the kind of ultimate in hypocrisy and phoning it in and here's my name and go to town.
Right.
I'm sure he was enforcing formulas and recipes, but that
just timing was really bad too.
Right, timing was terrible, and it just seemed the connection was tenuous. However, on the other side, I would say that Danny Meyer, who came up in fine dining, and then turned all of that, and I'm sure he suffered in fine dining in the same way that you have, in that all of these partnerships that you make with chefs that are unique and have, Danny Meyer had very splashy concepts.
Right.
Probably cost him a great deal emotionally, financially. He probably didn't make a ton of money doing them. And then when you get an opportunity to streamline and distill all of your experiences into a concept that you can then truly kind of spin out. Holy shit. Shake Shack, the IPO was $1 billion, right? And in the second day, it was $2 billion. It was doubled on the opening.
Yeah, and I think, because I went there so the first time I went to Shake Shack, I think it was 2006 in New York, kind of where the original one was. And I thought it was okay.
Right.
But I actually thought I had a better experience when I went to the Scottsdale, Arizona one.
Well, and see, that's a testament to Danny Meyer, I think. Because the answer to that question is not how close can you get to the original, but how tight can your supply chain and your execution be with the materials provided? How can you then enforce that? And I think he's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, a hamburger is a freaking hamburger. Last night is a perfect example. On the way over here, you said, why didn't it tell you to like her hamburger? She didn't dislike her hamburger. She's picky as hell. She doesn't like mayonnaise. She doesn't particularly like it too saucy. She mostly likes food that she cooks.
Right.
It was fine. But Rye had a friend with him named Larry who had the double smash, which I also had and crushed, who said it was the best hamburger he'd ever had
in his life.
Now, I'll also add that Larry said that this was the furthest west in Oregon that he'd ever traveled.
Right, to Beaverton.
So we maybe his circle of expertise is suspect.
Right.
But that is a great example of the effect of essentially the exact same thing on two different people having very different results.
Right.
A hamburger, in my opinion, has acceptable parameters. It's here, between here and here, it's a good burger. I've had some burgers that have really blown my skirt up. And last night I found to be delicious, but I didn't think a lot about it.
Right.
I just ate it.
Well, you're in a pub. That's the idea.
Right. And I think that's what that food is supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's supposed to get you there. It's supposed to keep you drinking. It's supposed to be fine.
Right. Now you have the Barnett's burger at St. Jack.
Right.
Hubba hubba.
Well, but okay. Don't get me started. When we went there the other night, you and I.
That was a Lamoule.
Well, but that's his burger.
It's a variation of his burger,
Mon Dieu. So the burger at St. Jack remains tight and cooked to temperature.
It's a smash, I think, at St. Jack.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I've always remembered that burger to be more of a disc, pretty close to rare, and much taller than the version that we had.
I just remember we got him this 1.5-inch chrome griddle for St. Jack that I was such a big fan of, and I thought that he did one there. I know that it's a good burger.
Well, I mean, again, let's go back to.
But I like the Lamoule burger too.
The smash has taken over.
Yeah,
I think the smash, largely because you don't have to dick around with taking temperatures, is desirable to chefs, and I think they like the down and dirty. There's a lot of stuff you can melt on it and smash between it, and there's something very comforting about them. Usually they stay together.
Yeah. They have a good flavor, but
a little char.
But I mean, In-N-Out's not a smash burger, and it's great.
Right, but they're also not really cooked to temp.
No. If I were to ever start a burger concept again, I would never do a temp burger.
Right.
At Foster Burger, that Andy and Ricker and I did, 10 years ago, we used to allow people to temp their burgers. Right. What a mistake.
Yeah.
It's just and I would never do, Micah Camden told me this also, because, with his burgers, I would never do charbroiled anymore. I would only do griddle burger. It's like griddle, just one temp, in and out, boom.
Right.
As soon as you start temping, your ticket times just explode because you have one order with a family and the mom wants it extra well done, the dad wants medium rare, the kid, and you're just it's a nightmare.
Now, this is such an interesting discussion because it begs sort of back to what Rick was talking about rising to the level of your incompetence. And now, as a seasoned restaurateur, when you look at hamburgers, you don't necessarily say to yourself, what is the most delicious burger that I could purvey?
Well, I think we had that conversation, but we realized that when it comes to burgers, there are expectations that it's fast.
Right.
Right? And so people are just frustrated. Now, if you could open a $35 burger per burger restaurant,
right,
sure. Then it's okay, we'll temp those. We'll take our time and get it just perfect.
I'm just talking about the perspective shift.
Yeah.
And
because
I think
at
that's an age
Gruner,
thing.
we used to temp those things.
Right.
And that was an unbelievable burger.
And the rot we did, and I think they still do. And I really like, I mean, that was a dense half pound.
Right.
You know, and I like
in the context of fine dining, that can work.
Right.
Right. Because you have all these other dishes people are getting, and so it comes out. So, you know, but it's like if you're going to have a burger place,
right,
people just don't want to wait for that, you know? So,
corn dogs are next.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about that panko. I love that idea of the panko crust, and I think you could go further with different little dip-ins. Like, what about Lucky Charms?
Gross. Can you imagine them coming out of the fryer? They're going to be, it's like all that sugar is going to caramelize and burn.
Ooh, caramelized. That's the Maillard reaction.
Why don't you, yuck.
All right, so not
idea.
Lucky Charms.
No.
Well, you haven't tried them.
No, I could imagine maybe taking some Lucky Charms and like, you know, and putting it into a grinder and then adding Lucky Charms to the panko. So you have a little bit of a sugar.
Mm-hmm. Sort of lucky.
Yeah, kind of Lucky Charms.
Talk about our next evolution in physical fitness.
Yours and mine?
Well, we've been on a rocky path. I think in the last 3 weeks, we have gotten together and exercised twice.
Oh, that's my fault.
Well, my performance was tepid at both occasions. It's not necessarily your fault because it's not like I was exercising on the slide.
When we did exercise, it's true you had a short fuse. Mm-hmm. But yeah, these last 14 days, and I will be done at Loyal Legion today. It's like I finished the private dining room.
I can see you. You look, your shoulders are higher. You look a little bit lighter.
I will be out of there, except for superficial things showing up with Blazer gear. We got a guy donated a Lillard signed jersey.
I understand that.
A basketball signed by Lillard, CJ, and Carmelo.
Oh,
that's a nice one.
That is a
right?
nice one.
That's a good one. And then I pulled out of my trove from my childhood. Don't know if you remember this, but after the Blazers won the championship, 77, Thriftway came out with signed photos of every Blazer, and you had to buy a product of choice that week to get the Blazer picture. Mm-hmm. So it was like a dozen eggs, Skip, Bill Walton.
So it wasn't like weird. It wasn't like Vegemite or some other kind of, okay.
It's just kind of strange. You know, you had to buy the qualifier, you know, a gallon of milk from Maurice Lucas. And so religiously we did that. And I think when you count like the subs, the coach, and then the team photo, I think there was like 18 photos.
And you have them all.
I've kept them all this. So I'm going to get them framed. But I'm so terrified so I'm going to have to get those frames that go against the wall and kind of lock on the wall.
Oh, the people yanking them.
Yeah.
What do you call it when, like, hoarders benefit from their hoarding? Is that a good, like, if it's good hoarding?
Oh.
Is that a different
feels
thing?
The best.
Okay. Thank you, Lloyd Center Storage.
Feels the best. So there's that. We have, so all that memorabilia needs to get brought over there. And then that's it. And then lighting. Oh, my God, lighting. So
now, speaking of athletes,
right.
What are we going to be athletic about? That's what I want to talk about because I'm concerned.
Right.
Like the other day, and when I say the other day, what I mean is last night, someone on my left-hand side got my attention, and this is how I turned to them, and maybe you can explain this to our listeners. Are you ready?
Yeah. Oh. Like whole body move?
Like whole body. Like I
steel
have,
rod.
Yeah, just my neck. I don't feel. I just feel.
You can't like turn your head without turning your shoulders.
But it's sort of like.
Yeah.
And that sort of stuff I don't really understand.
Is that kind of a tough guy way of doing it? Like.
No, it's just a creaky old cooter kind of way of doing it.
Well, we're going to try to work out with a guy named Breon, and I am so excited about this. And so we actually have to decide the 2 days a week and the times that we think we can commit to it. And I know you're not a big AM workout guy.
I'll do what I can. Then you said he was a coach for an NFL strength coach?
I think I know he did a bunch of work. I thought he was the strength coach for the Broncos. I have to make sure I get that right. But what in the Portland small world thing, he met his wife on a dating app, just like I did. And his very first meal when he met his wife was at Ping. How about that?
That's pretty good.
That's good. The very first restaurant that we opened. So already there was like a connection. But I think he's quite a physical specimen.
He's our age.
He's 51. Nice. He did MMA fighting for a long time.
We like that.
And I told him that, I thought our technique was very good, but that we didn't actually know anything about boxing beyond the mechanics of punching.
I think that's fair. You sold us fair.
Yeah. But what we lacked in skill and experience, we made up with in irrational exuberance.
That's also probably a reasonable assessment.
That we really, really like hitting things as hard as we can. That we're in general very terrible shape and falling apart.
Right.
And
decomposing.
Yeah. And so he just. So
was he sympathetic or was he like.
Fired up. I think the guy's just fired up.
Okay, I'm committed.
Yeah. So we'll start doing that and really see the results. I can see us being exhausted at a level we haven't been exhausted at for a while.
The thing I'm worried about doing that and then going to work and then just being like kind of a rubber jelly man band.
Well, but you remember how it's like. You're going to go, you're going to feel good.
For the first 20 minutes?
No, you're going to feel good until 5 p.m. when you're talking to me on the phone and then you actually fall asleep. And then you'll wake up and call me because you can't sit down to poop because your legs are so sore.
Help me poop. We shouldn't talk about that kind of stuff.
Well, it's true. When you get into the big, I remember huge leg training days back in the day. There's a point where you just can't.
You can't squat down without
you can't sit down.
Amazing amount.
You need
of
a rope.
Yes.
That hangs above your toilet.
Or yes, exactly. Or just right in front of it.
Yeah. Or some kind of old person assist.
Yeah.
And
I do think that I mocked older people who talked about their health. I made fun of my dad for complaining about having to go to the bathroom. It's a thing.
Yeah.
And I don't want us to fall into that trap. I think we're not fighting it. I think we need to accept it and hopefully try to elongate our level of comfort. And everybody should. That was, again, just to kind of keep things a little bit focused. That was a recommendation from one of our other score of listeners.
Yeah, who's been just such a help. But I think when I talked to him, I really thought that so we did fight camp for quite a while. I told him about that.
Yep.
And I think one of the things about fight camp is that as they try to broaden their interest, we end up kind of with going away from all the workouts that we really enjoyed because they're trying to get a larger demographic.
Right.
And I felt like, talking to Breon is man, I think an app or a thing that would work really well is creating workouts for older guys. Where it's just
maybe should we not discuss this intellectual property over the air, or do we want to timestamp it, or is there some way we can protect it?
No, I don't think. Shit. Look, it's ideas are a dime a dozen. But
okay.
Think about how, something where it's so many of these things are focused on wellness and this and that. And the bottom line with older guys is that, we're just kind of lunkheads.
Right.
And I think that there would be fun.
You want to limit that to just older guys?
Oh, well, I think we are falling apart lunkheads.
I see. Okay.
Right. And there's a point once you're falling apart where it'd be nice to have just kind of workouts for, kind of more aggressive workouts and women, of course.
Sure.
And
older people.
Yeah. And gender non-specific people who like to do aggressive stuff.
I appreciate that.
So all of us people that like aggressive workouts and whacking things.
Right.
I think there's an app out there for us.
Yes.
No stretching, no warm-ups, just simply getting in there and starting to just.
There will be stretching. There's got to be stretching.
Breon's
I think that's what I need. I think that's
Breon's
kind of the thing.
us.
And I know that's so mundane and also what a crappy thing to talk about. And if you think that we're going to talk about fiber next, we're not.
No.
But, stretch, fuck, shit, piss.
But Breon, next week, hopefully we'll have our first session.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll report about it.
I do have my singlet still from high school. And I know this for a fact. I can get into the legs. But that's it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How much do you weigh, by the way? I told him.
230.
Oh, okay.
What'd you say?
I was 20 pounds off.
You said 250?
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
I said you're 6'7", 250.
6'7"?
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's fair.
No, I said 6'3", 250, 240.
Okay. Well, I bet if I got on the scale right now and I'm wearing heavy shoes, I'd be 233.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So you've lost some weight. That's great.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm wrong. Well, guess what? You're going to show up and he's going to be like, "Whoa, hold on."
All right, you've been working out in the last 3 days. What are you wearing? A plastic suit?
Yeah, and I told him 5'10", 200. He's like, "Okay."
Okay. You're thick. You got to see my traps.
Oh God.
Well, I hope that he doesn't make us wear plastic suits. The last time I wore a plastic suit was in the sauna at the YMCA trying to cut weight. I hope he doesn't make us hit each other with sticks like we did when we first met.
Oh.
But he might.
Yeah. That's right. Our very first play date was cutting down sticks from the trees by your house and then wrapping them in styrofoam.
Thank you.
Ends.
The Harry and David packing cases.
Yeah. And so we had pugil sticks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't monsters. They had foam on both ends.
Yeah. But you can still whack pretty good with them.
American Gladiator style.
Yeah. And then we lit something on fire.
Probably.
Yeah.
Was it you?
I think it was a tree.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was big into that. We were all kind of big into that kind of stuff.
Just idiots. Just everything on fire or exploding.
Right. Or shooting. I remember Mike McDermott shot himself in the knee with a BB gun because there was like a bug. For whatever reason, he decided he was going to shoot the bug off of his knee. And he shot a BB gun into his knee. That was shortly after we stopped the BB gun wars in Corbett Park, but before we started Spit Tag at Riverdale.
Oh, that's better than Wiener Tag. That's what my stepson did.
Wiener Tag?
Yeah.
You're really calling him out, aren't you?
Well, he got suspended for Wiener Tag.
Was he just grabbing kids in the goodies?
No, they all were.
Grabbing each other's goodies.
You just, apparently the game is you run up to somebody, you smack them in the wiener, and then they're it.
Right.
So it's pretty terrifying game.
After they recover.
Right.
Well, we called that back in the day. Do you remember?
No.
Roaching.
Roaching is when you whack somebody in
Just grab someone's framus.
You grab it?
Yeah, it was a Riverdale term, was roaching.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
Well, thanks, Steve Abel. No, don't.
So, well, that stopped by the time of 7th grade because I don't remember that.
Maybe you're repressing it.
If somebody grabbed my penis in 7th grade, I would have been
stoked.
Totally traumatized. No, not stoked. I would have, yeah. No, right. I mean, I would have been traumatized. Or I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we should talk about it.
Oh, man.
And let's also not
Roaching.
talk about
what
the
a
Blazers.
Funny name. Roaching.
Yeah.
Huh. Mm-hmm. All right.
What was it? Yeah. There's other, yeah. Boof. Like, for example, that meant something to, what's his name? Brett Kavanaugh.
Boof?
Yeah, that was like some kind of one of their slang.
Oh, the Supreme Court Justice.
Yeah.
Oh, God. What a hilarious thing that he kept that calendar all those years with all these things on it.
It's amazing what people keep, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's just hope that in exhuming your effects, we don't, A, find my Prada jacket, which you said you lost. B, something incriminating, like a picture of you dressed as Cesar Chavez or perhaps Mr. T.
Oh, man, I can't remember. I mean, yeah, I guess, you know, it's like growing up like we did, it's like, I don't know why, it never occurred to any of us to like put makeup on, you know, and be like, to go in blackface, and how that's in a sense lucky that it just never occurred to us.
No, I do feel like that was, I don't know, there's plenty of racism in Oregon that showed its head in ugly ways, but I do think that phenomenon seemed more a southern thing.
It just never happened around here that I can remember. And yeah, so no Mr. T. I mean, God, I love Mr. T.
Yeah.
In all of his iterations. Clubber Lang, B.A. Baracus.
Clubber Lang, I think, was the greatest character of Mr. T's career.
B.A. was pretty good, and it's fodder for so many things in my marriage, because anytime we get in an airplane or in a long drive vehicle, I talk to my wife about knocking her out like a B.A. Baracus.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that anytime you guys get intimate, she says, "I pity the fool."
No.
Okay. All right.
No.
Yes! Or I love it when a plan comes together.
Oh, I wish that I could, you know, it's like they were so good. They had a little shot that they gave him that knocked him out. And then he would wake up and he'd be like, Where am I?
You're at the next town where they need your help, Mr. T. Well, I pity them.
It's time to start building.
I pity those fools as well.
A tank out of a tractor.
I got this. And then what was the kook? Who was the crazy guy? That was Murdoch.
Oh, there was Face Man.
Face was I think he was the handsome guy.
Yeah, he was the handsome guy.
And then Murdoch was the crazy guy.
No, Murdoch was the guy with the cigar.
No. That was come on.
Oh,
George Papard was.
Who used to be a general or a colonel.
Oh, scintillating.
Oh, so Murdoch was the kooky one?
I think so.
Yeah, the wacky guy. Yeah. He was funny.
Yep. God, remakes.
Yeah, well, Bradley, what's his name, was Face.
I don't want to end on this because this is depressing, but I did just see that they're remaking one of the greatest bro movies of all time. That would be, if you made a Venn diagram of people who like aggressive workouts and Roadhouse, they would eclipse. They would overlap.
And who's the actor?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, he can get pretty ripped though.
It's not about being ripped.
What are you talking about? It's like Patrick was like always posing.
Patrick was Patrick.
Yeah.
He wasn't like all muscly. He was thin and oily in Roadhouse, but he wasn't like shredded.
Well, he had some muscles.
He did. What he had was that wiry sex appeal that made him the unknowable loner.
Huh.
Jake Gyllenhaal doesn't have that.
Yeah, I was always impressed that a guy that was like 5'7", 110 pounds.
They are all 5'7" in Hollywood.
Hello, this is God. I can't let it go. It's Hannibal. That's who George Papard was.
Damn
Hannibal.
It.
See?
Okay. He's right. We upset Justin.
Hannibal.
Well, because we should have known that.
Oh God, Hannibal was so great.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Wow, we really went sideways.
Yeah. And can we food it to just take it home? What do you got for me food-wise? You haven't done any cooking lately, huh? Are you still traumatized from your East Coast beefarama?
No. I've just been nonstop working. So I think tonight I'll make something. I don't know. I don't know what.
Yellow tomato soup.
Oh, delicious stuff. I'm a big fan of panko fried chicken.
Yes, I know you are.
Probably do that. That's always a crowd
Do you
pleaser.
do standard breading with that? Flour, egg wash, panko?
Yes.
And then do you marinate the chicken beforehand?
If I think about it. Otherwise, I don't.
Yeah.
I happen to be a big fan of slap ya mama or other southern spices.
Okay.
To get mixed in with the flour.
Sure.
It's kind of a nice low-hanging fruit spice
mix. I think
old
Maya Lovelace does like ranch powder somewhere in the mix.
Yeah. We used to do those remember Peter Cho before
I remember
Hanok,
Peter Cho.
He did something called Stray Dogs.
Yep.
And he had a homemade potato chip with ranch powder on it.
Smart.
That was delicious. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. There's something a little bit acerbic.
Yeah.
About it.
We used to put chicken base in the flour, like powdered chicken base.
Yeah.
I think it's probably mostly just MSG, chicken flavored MSG, but that was a nice trick.
I know you could put a cube of bouillon in the egg and water.
I guess that's the same kind of thing.
And that's nice. Yeah. But I normally don't have. It's usually a rush.
Right.
Trying to get it done. But I really feel like I've perfected my Greek fries.
Okay. You do get a lot of credit for those. They're baked.
Well, yeah. Start them in the on the stovetop in quite a bit of oil. Toss until it gets kind of that initial exterior crust.
It's gonna sear.
And then boom, 450 convection.
Okay.
And turning them every now and then, and it just makes crispy, fantastic potatoes.
I think the secret is that initial kind of like caramelization of the exterior starch, which makes it like a bag then that keeps everything inside.
And then it just bakes on the inside.
And it poofs when you bite into it.
Yeah, and then just fresh rosemary, usually at the end with some salt, just like with 2 minutes left, kind of get that flavor going.
That's another sort of iteration of cooking that I've enjoyed thinking about is just the timing. Like the idea of when you add something to a dish is almost as integral as what it is that you're adding.
Yeah, people add like herbs way too soon.
Right. All of their volatiles are gone by the time you if you put in the rose in, you just get that kind of resinous, kind of eucalyptic quality of rosemary. But if you put it in, and you can use much less at the very end too. And then you don't have all those kind of spiny things you're biting into.
Yeah.
That rosemary redskin, God damn it, that was a bane.
Rosemary thyme, I love just that flash right before you take it out. I'll add garlic at the same time.
Yep.
And, oh, man, that's delish.
Oh, man, what is this, Lynn Rosetta Casper and the Splendid Table or something?
No.
No, absolutely not. And with that, I think we'll have to say thank you, everyone, for continuing this journey with us on the hotline.
The hotline.
And also fun to see you poke out. And maybe hit Huffman on his Instagram, at Kurt Huffman, I think, something like that. You'll find him. He's got a 5 head. Like, if you know how Peyton Manning has, like, a big forehead, well, if you had Peyton Manning's forehead and then you put Peyton Manning's forehead on top of it.
Stacked it. Yeah.
Then you'd find Kurt on Instagram. And just make him look at it. So say, hey, Kurt, I heard your show. Good stuff.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, look at his forehead.
No. People can see that from, like, space.
It's always been big, though. I look back at old pictures, and I'm like, gosh, I actually have always had a huge forehead.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. It's okay. I mean, I'm comfortable with it
now. It's
reflective.
Oh, well, what a pleasure, as always. And I think, hopefully, next Saturday, we can talk about how much pain we're in because of our new work.
Breon.
Yes.
Yeah, we might start plugging him.
Breon bringing the Freon.
Yeah. We'll need Freon on our muscles.
I'm ready. And thank you again, Curdy. Let's have a solid weekend, and everyone out there, you do the same. Yeah. Cheers.
Nice sign off.